Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. We are in the Bhagavad Gita summary study program organized by Bhakti Vriksha team. My name is Patita Pavana Balaram Das. I'm one of the members of the Bhakti Vriksha team member. So we completed until 3 chapters last week. We are trying to complete 18 chapters in 18 days. We are in chapter 4 today. I'll share my screen so we'll get started. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay, great. Okay, so ignore the slide title. We got the slides from ISKCON Seshadripuram. So we are currently in chapter 4. What this program is about: Gita Gyan. Gyan means knowledge, and Gita means Bhagavad Gita. We are going to look at this is a summary study, so we are not going to go into every detail. We are going to highlight what is the most important things that are mentioned. We are only reading this or giving the summary of this chapter for 1 hour, but it takes at least a few hours, even sometimes a full week to cover one chapter. This is only the main reason is to spark interest because many of you are new to Bhagavad Gita, and we have been seeing what is the importance of Bhagavad Gita. It can play, it is transcendental literature, it doesn't belong to one religion. Every person in this whole world can benefit by reading Bhagavad Gita, and we have seen so many instances where people who read Bhagavad Gita transformed their lives. We being most of the people who joined in this call being, I'm hoping they are Indians. So we being at least from the Indian origin, it is our responsibility to actually learn Bhagavad Gita. If someone comes and questions, hey, what is your religion? We happily or proudly say Hindu. Then they say, what does your philosophy? What is your philosophy? Yeah, I mean, myself, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but initially, yeah, we have Bhagavad Gita, we have different Puranas, we have Vedas, um, we go to the temple. Why you're going to the temple? Why you're doing idol worship? And for that, we give some other answers. It's not idol, or it is God Himself. So you're saying there is God. So there are so many questions which we may not be able to answer. And if the question comes up, did you read any of the Vedic scriptures? The question is no. Then how can you say that you are Hindu? So those, at least the thing is, if we cannot read all of the Vedas, can we take the essence of the Vedas and read that book? And that is nothing but Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is called Gita Upanishad, means it is Upanishad means it is also part of the Vedas. When you read Upanishads, they are basically giving you the essence of each of the Vedas, the different chapters that they are present in. And Bhagavad Gita is Gita Upanishad because it contains the essence of all of the Vedas in this book. So if you read Bhagavad Gita, you can say that you understand the essence of all of the Vedas. So we'll get started. We already read this. And we are able to read this in the month of Kartik, so it gives immense benefit for us. Um, and I hope everyone got a personal copy of Bhagavad Gita. If not, please order in the link I sent, or Gopikant Prabhu sent. Um, and while reading, if you find anything very much touching your heart or motivating you or inspiring you, please mark them and write notes in there. And before we discuss about any spiritual topics, we say a few prayers. Since I'm sharing on my screen, please all of you say along with me. Together we will say all of the mantras, and the last Hare Krishna Maha Mantra we will say 3 times. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And as mentioned in the previous classes, we are dedicating this program to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In short, it's called ISKCON. And we are inspired to do this program by the mercy and blessings of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. He is one of the senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, senior members of ISKCON, and a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And we have been continuing each chapter with starting off by singing or discussing about the glories of Bhagavad Gita from the 8 verses written by Shankaracharya. We'll read one more today. Anyone wants to volunteer and read the translation, sorry, the verse and the translation? Okay, I will read the verse. Maybe someone can read the translation. गीतासु गीता कर्तव्या किम अन्यै शास्त्र विस्तरैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्माद् विनिश्रिता. Someone wants to read the translation?
Gita Kartavya Kim.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
That's not okay.
Yeah, I think Vijay Prabhu, like your son was able to read, but yeah, Maithili Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in in mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Jai, thank you, Mataji.
Hare
So
Krishna.
we just discussed, right, why why it is important to read Bhagavad Gita? Because it is the essence of Vedic scriptures, and also it is spoken by the Supreme Lord Himself, actually. Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So what else we need when the Lord Himself is telling all the essence of Vedas in one song? Okay. So we'll do a quick recap after chapter 3. Chapter 3 starts off with Arjuna's confusion. He says, Krishna, you're saying use your intelligence and control the senses and fight. And Arjuna is confused that when you say intelligence, isn't it like I have to acquire knowledge and go to renounce everything, go to the forest and acquire knowledge? But at the same time, you're equivocally saying that get up and fight. These two seem to be uh, contradictory to each other. So then Krishna clarifies further. He says, Arjuna, not working doesn't mean you will not accumulate karma. Means even if you don't work, you will get karma. And at the same time, just renouncing will not give you perfection. And he gives the example of mithyachara, means monkey renunciation or artificial renunciation, where you renounce everything, go to the forest if your mind is attached to your family. Oh, what is my spouse doing? And what are my kids doing? Are they struggling? Then there is no point of renunciation. At the same time, even if you are working in the society, but your mind is attached to the Supreme Lord, then it is real renunciation. Then that is, achieves perfection. And then we discussed how do we do work that doesn't give us karma. That work is called yagna. If we perform yagna, then it doesn't give us any results, uh, sinful reactions. So if and what is yagna? Yajna means sacrifice. It is also the name for Vishnu. So if we work as a sacrifice to Vishnu, then it doesn't cause bondage for us in the material world. And karma is the one that means bondage. And then we discussed, right, there are different yajnas prescribed for each of the different yugas. For Satya Yuga or Krita Yuga, it is transcendental meditation. For Treta Yuga, it is fire sacrifice. For Dwapar Yuga, it is deity worship. And for Kali Yuga, it is just Sankirtan Yagna. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata.
Mukha Padma Sruta.
Yeah, so we'll go to chapter 4. The title of the chapter is Transcendental Knowledge. So we'll say a few, make this session very interactive. What do we need to become more intelligent?
Knowledge.
Knowledge, yes, that's great. And there are two types of knowledge, basically. One is material knowledge and one is called transcendental knowledge. Any knowledge that is acquired in this material world is material knowledge, whether it is mathematics, science, computer science, mechanical engineering, or even English, any language, all that is material knowledge. And anything that belongs to the spiritual world is transcendental knowledge, means anything that belongs to the soul that comes from the spiritual world. Give me 1 second. Adhyatma Vidya. Okay, yes. Anything that relates to the Atma, means the soul, that knowledge is transcendental knowledge. What is the problem with what is the problem with the current society?
We have only material knowledge.
Yes, we are currently focused only on material knowledge. Yes, we have material, we are trying to do material knowledge, and at the same time, our focus is completely on material knowledge only. So, the current problem with society is 100% focus is on material knowledge, and there is zero focus on transcendental knowledge. And we are fully focused on gaining that knowledge. And the goal of our current society is just sense gratification, means get knowledge, get a job, work, get a nice house, raise family, let the family raise the kids. Then after retirement, buy a nice farmhouse or settle in a place like a warm place in the beach and rest of life. But uh, we have big grand plans, but the problem is those things don't happen the way we plan, because there is already the miseries that are happening. Janma, Adhyatmik, Adidevik, Adibodhik means the miseries from our own self, where the things that our body will not cooperate the way we want it. And Adibodhik means the people around us will not cooperate in the way we want it. Our plans, we have big plans for our kids, and if they are not as working as per our plan, we get misery. Similarly, there are things that are not in our control. So all those things like earthquake, hurricanes, all those, and those all cause a lot of miseries. And in order to get sense gratification, the means is artha, economic development. But the challenge is that is all material. And for transcendental, there is zero focus on the spiritual growth, because any knowledge that we get from the transcendental knowledge standpoint will make us progress towards the spiritual destination. And the goal is moksha, and the means for achieving it is finding what our dharma is and executing the dharma. So if there are called four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, but our focus is only on the two artha and kama, but it's not there on dharma and moksha. And that's why if you see, this Bhagavad Gita focuses on dharma, the means of achieving moksha. Krishna says in chapter 8, Sarva dharman parichaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papavyo moksha ishyami. Means I will give you moksha if you surrender everything to me. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is very important. So what are the different ways we can acquire knowledge? Or how is the knowledge passed from one generation to another?
By teaching them.
Yes, very nice. Great answer. So um, you hit the nail on the head. But before that, we'll take a few other analyze a few more ways where you can acquire knowledge. So in the Vedic scriptures, it is mentioned that there are 4 ways of acquiring knowledge, 4 means of acquiring knowledge. One is called pratyaksha, means sense perception. Next one is anumana, inference, upamana, comparison, and shabda, verbal testimony. Pratyaksha means based on our senses means what we can see here like that. We can see that there is water because we can see it. But the problem with perception is our senses are limited. So we tend to make mistakes if we blindly rely on our senses. Because if we see a mirage, we think that there is water, but it's actually not water. Similarly, we our ears cannot hear the full spectrum of all the sound, and we can only rely on what the sounds that we can hear. So our senses are very much limited. So the knowledge we acquire from the senses will also be imperfect. The next one is anumana, means guessing based on past experience. We know that it will rain if we see dark clouds in the sky, but then it is prone to mistakes because even though there might be dark clouds, suddenly a wind can come and take the clouds away and there might be no rain. So, right, that's why even if you infer based on past experience, it's not always the case that your past experience will always be right. Next one is upamana, comparison. You can say, you can understand something by comparing 2 objects. The example given in Nyaya is if someone doesn't know how a cow looks like, and if someone tells him, hey, a cow looks like a horse, then the person who might see a new animal might compare and say, okay, this has 4 legs and this is also similar looking like a horse. This might be the cow. But it is also prone to errors because if the person also never saw a donkey, he might think a donkey to be a cow, right? So these 3 problems are there with this knowledge. But the last and the best recommended is Shabda Pramana, means verbal testimony, which is based on the words spoken by the learned stages. Like what uh, the kid mentioned just now is the teaching, right? And that is what is mentioned as the best way of acquiring knowledge because Vedic knowledge has been passed down from one generation to other in this process. Of course, in the previous yugas, the Vedas was not written. It was all transferred orally and orally. Means the spiritual master used to speak, and the disciples used to listen. And one time listening, they already acquired everything. Eka Santagrahi, they will say, right? They will listen once and they will acquire. But with the Kali Yuga, we are not as much talented. So these Vedas had to be written as it was only one Veda before. It had to be broken down into 4 Vedas and written by Vyasadeva. And even then, we need to still take help from the spiritual master for us to understand what was written in there. And what is the problem with that? It's actually no problem with that because that knowledge is coming from, and if we go, who is our spiritual master, who is our spiritual master, if we keep on asking who is their guru, if it goes to the Krishna, then that means that knowledge is coming from the Supreme Lord himself. That's why that knowledge is perfect, but provided the person who is doing that knowledge should be bona fide. There are so many people in India and elsewhere, they are like fake babas. They say that they are giving the Vedic information, but when we ask who is your guru, they say, no, I got knowledge myself. It is recommended that we should not even go close to them because if they are using their own understanding, it will be imperfect. The knowledge has to come from Shabda Pramana, only verbal testimony. In using that context, now Krishna will continue to explain to Arjuna what knowledge he is explaining and how the knowledge is coming. Please say after me, Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Imam Vivasvate Yogam
Imam vivasvate yogam
Yogam
Proktavan Aham Avyayam
proktavan
Proktavam Aham
avyayam
Akyam
Vivasvan Manave Praha
vivasvan
Vivasvan
manave
Manveha
praha
Manurikshva Kave Abravit.
manurikshvakave bravit.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Viswan, and Viswan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
Jai, thank you, Prabhu. So, what we understand is the knowledge that Krishna is giving to Arjuna. He's saying, "Oh Arjuna, this knowledge what I am giving you, I already gave this knowledge previously to the sun god Vivaswan." And Vivaswan gave that knowledge to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn gave it to Ikshvaku. Who is Ikshvaku? Anyone knows?
Suryavanshi king.
Yes, he is the forefather of the Lord Ram's dynasty. From him everything originated, Ikshvaku. Yeah. Evam parampara praptam
एवं परम्परा प्राप्तम्
imam rajarshayo viduhu
इमं
Imam
राजर्षयो
Rajasya Vidu.
sakale neha mahata
सकालेन
Sakalena
हमतः
Mahata.
yogo nastah parantapa.
योगो
Yogo Nasta Parantapa.
Can someone read the translation?
The
This
supreme
supreme science was thus received through the chain of this Kiplik succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost.
Jai. So why is Krishna again telling this knowledge? If that knowledge was already there, given to Ikshvaku and all, why is Krishna again telling is yogo nasta parantapa, means parantapa means Arjuna. He's saying that yoga, that knowledge or that process is nasta, means it was broken over time. Sakale means over time. Mahata means long time. We know that Ikshvaku is from the ancestor of Lord Rama, and Lord Rama himself is from which yuga? Treta Yuga. And this is happening in Dwapara Yuga, means there is thousands and thousands of years in between. So over time that link was broken. So Krishna is again re-establishing the link by giving this knowledge to Arjuna. And we can understand that Krishna has, from the Vedic scriptures, that Lord Krishna has established 4 paramparas. Means he gave that same knowledge to 4 entities. One is Lord Brahma, next one is Mother Lakshmi, then Lord Shiva, and 4 Kumaras. And from the Lord Brahma Sampradaya, we have Madhvacharya, and from Lakshmi we have it's called Sri Sampradaya, we have Ramanujacharya. Similarly, from Lord Shiva, Rudra Sampradaya, we have Vishnu Swami, and the Kumaras we have the Nimbarkacharya. And our parampara is from the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, means Krishna gave it to Brahma, Brahma gave it to Narada, Narada gave it to Vyasa, Vyasa gave it to Madhvacharya, and over time that disciplic succession continued, and that knowledge was taken through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that came to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada that knowledge. So ISKCON is a bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya, means the link goes all the way to Krishna. That's why anything that we share is from the scriptures only, and also authorized by the Vedic scriptures. That's why we can say that whatever we are saying is backed by the Vedic testimony of previous acharyas. So why is Krishna giving this knowledge to Arjuna now? He can have given to everybody, right? But why means there are 2 reasons why Krishna is giving. And I want to caution or just give a heads up that this chapter 4 has one of the chapters that has most number of important verses. So this class today will be mostly discussing about different verses and their translations. And if you want to learn verses, start with chapter 4. These verses, these are very easy to learn, and then also they are very much impactful in terms of the knowledge that they provide. Saevayam mayatyedya
Savityam
yoga prokta puratanaha
Yoga
Prokta Puratana.
bhaktosi me sakacheti
भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति
Rahasyam hetatuddam uttamam.
रहस्यं ह्येतत्
uttamam.
Yeah, anyone who did not get a chance to read wants to read.
That very
ancient
ancient scientist of
science of the
science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of the science.
Jai, thank you so much. So basically what we understand is, even though Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Vedic scriptures, it is still a big mystery, transcendental mystery, because we are in this material world and this knowledge is from the transcendental world. How can we can understand the transcendental world, which is infinite or unlimited, with our limited understanding? So it will be a mystery for us. But why is Krishna still giving that information to specific people is the two reasons. So who can understand Bhagavad Gita is, who can acquire this transcendental knowledge and understand Bhagavad Gita is if they are a devotee of Krishna and they are a friend of Krishna. Means we should be favorable to Krishna. We should also be a devotee of Krishna. Like we discussed in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita introduction, Prabhupada says, just don't, even if Krishna is not giving you direction or you are not perceiving the presence of Krishna in your life yet, theoretically just accept Krishna is the person who is going to guide you for the rest of the life and start reading Bhagavad Gita, then you will start understanding. But if you, and same thing, Arjuna surrendered to Krishna as a well-wisher and he took his instructions seriously. He did not do it whimsically. Same applies for us. If we run into a challenge or in indecision, we approach our well-wisher and we ask the instructions. And if we do it whimsically, it is of no benefit. We have to take it with all seriousness. So basically, if we become a devotee of Krishna and a friend of Krishna and read Bhagavad Gita with all seriousness and all devotion, then Krishna will start revealing that transcendental mystery within to us, and everything makes sense. And Arjuna had a quick question in between. He says, "Oh Krishna, Arjuna Uvacha,
Arjuna vacha
Aparam Bhavato Janma,
Aparam
aparam bhavato janma
Param Janma Vivasvataha,
param
janma
vivasvataha
vivasvataha
Katam Yetad Vijaniyam,
katam
etat vijaniyam
Tvam Adau Proktavaniti."
tvam
tvam adav
ado
proktavanti.
proktavaniti.
Who did not get a chance can read the translation.
Arjuna said the sun god Viswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him?
So Arjuna and Krishna are of the similar age. And Arjuna is asking, "Oh, Krishna, stop joking." Like, are you I mean, I was making it light, but Arjuna was seriously asking, "Oh, Krishna, you and I are seem to be of the same age, but we know Vivaswan, the sun god, has been there for millions and millions of times even before us. How is it possible that you gave this knowledge to Vivaswan and you are giving the same knowledge to me?" But Vivaswan is very senior by birth to you, senior in the sense he was there for millions of life. We both are born now. How is it possible? What does Krishna say? Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Sri Bhagavan vacha
Bahuni me vyatitani
Pahoneni me
vitani
janmani tava charjuna
janmani
charjana
tanyaham veda sarvani
tanyaham veda sarvani
natvam veta parantapa.
natvam parantapa.
Anyone who did not get a chance can read.
The personality of Godhead said, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. O subduer of the enemy.
Subduer, yeah. Sajay, thank you, Mother. So what we can understand Krishna is saying is, "Oh Arjuna, it is not that we were born now." And going back to the same, right? The soul soul is eternal. So similarly, Arjuna and Krishna, they are the avatars or the incarnations of Naranarayana rishis. So both of them have been going through different yugas in this form, but only difference is, we will read in the next verse, that Krishna being the supreme lord doesn't change his body. Arjuna being a living entity, he has to go through one body to another. And if we change the body, we forget. But if we don't change the body, like for example, we take in our lifetime, do we forget the things that we did in the past when we were young?
No.
No, right? Because we remember what we did. Because it is the same body, those memories still reside within us. But as soon as the body changes, like for example, do we remember what somebody else did in their childhood?
No.
No. So basically, it is because that body is different, our body is different. Similarly, when the body dies, the living entity takes another body, and since the body changes, those memories are also lost. And it is mentioned that in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is when the if somebody is a pious has done so many pious activities, and he or she still have to take another birth. When in the form of the baby in the womb, they were able to recollect all their previous lives and start praying to Krishna. Oh Krishna, why am I getting another life? Why I was not able to get moksha in the last life? Please, please, please let this life be my last life. I don't want to struggle in this material world anymore. Please, Krishna, and starts praying. And as soon as the birth happens, all the glitters, where the mom and the dad, grandparents saying "Buchu, choo choo" like that, and the baby gets bewildered and covered by Maya, and it immediately forgets all the prayers that it had said and starts engaging in the material activities. So it requires again somebody's blessing to recollect their mission, which is to get out of this material world. And until then, they are in Maya. And And it is also mentioned that when the baby head passes through the small opening in the during birth, it undergoes so much trauma that it forgets all the things that it happened in the past life. That's why when the question is, if there is past life, why forget, means even if you take in the current life, if someone gets hurt in the head, they will lose all their memory. Correct? So same thing, even though when the baby has the memories of the past life, when it is going through that small hole, there is so much trauma that happens to the head that in the trauma it faints for some time and all the memory is lost. And Krishna is answering why he doesn't forget, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord and he comes with his own transcendental body. This is a supreme secret. Not many people understand that. We think that Krishna is born like an ordinary child and then he grows up, but it's actually Krishna comes with his whole body from the supreme spiritual world. He doesn't. Yeah, we'll discuss that more. Ajopi san avyayatma
Ajobi
bhutanam ishwaropi san
Bhutanam Ishwaropisan
prakritim swam adhisthaya
Prakritim
sambhavami atma mayaya.
Sambhavami Atmamayaya.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never detours, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form.
Jai, thank you, Prabhu. So we have some more verses, so we'll give chance for everyone to read, and then if nobody reads for like couple of seconds, then you can read. Okay. So what it is saying is, although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, I am the Lord of all living entities and still appear in my original transcendental form. Sambhavami Atma Maya, with my own body, like I appear. So that is the when he is. We have to understand that.
Prabhu, one clarification here. Sambhavami Atma Maya is with my own Maya. I actually
Yes.
Sambhavami. I manifest. So that can you go to the previous slide 1 second? Yeah, Prabhu. My transcendental form. I'm that is language is a bit confusing because Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. Atma with my own Maya, I actually I am actually manifesting. Because why I'm saying it's with my own Maya, with my own illusion, I actually manifest. Because in another sloka, Krishna says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritaha. I am not manifest to everyone because I am covered by my own Maya. So he's
Yes.
born
So
with Maya.
yeah.
So you cannot say like I'm transcendental form does not give any meaning actually. Sorry.
No, so that is the one level of understanding. So that's why we need to have multiple levels of understanding. The next level of understanding is when it comes to transcendental world, there is no difference between Krishna, his form, his name, his paraphernalia, anything. So anything in the transcendental world, whether it is his own Atma Maya. So there are two types of Maya. One is the Mahamaya and one is the Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya is from the Atma Maya that is mentioned here, and Mahamaya is the material Maya that covers the living entities. So when we say the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are invoking the Krishna's name. In the material world, we can say water, 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 water. But when we say water, 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 the word water and the actual water is different. Our thirst will still remain. But in the transcendental world, there is no difference between Krishna, his name, his form, his paraphernalia, and his Atma Maya. That's why Prabhupada said that it is the transcendental form. So we cannot understand that Maya, so we can not perceive that form. So that is the original transcendental form that he appears in. But if we have any questions, we can maybe discuss at the end.
I told you to get water.
So then when will Krishna appear? He's saying yada yada hi dharmasya
हि धर्मस्य
glanir bhavati bharata
ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
abhyutanam adharmasya
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य
tadatmanam srijamyaham.
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Jai, thank you, Mataji. So you can see, right? This and the next verse are very, very popular. Even though we might not have read Bhagavad Gita, from our childhood we read these two verses. So what Krishna is saying is, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, and adharma takes predominance over the dharma, then he comes. We can see all the examples of different avatars that came. And anytime there is adharma growing, then the Lord will come in different forms and establish the dharma. And when he comes, what does he do? Paritranaya sadhunam
पुत्राणाय साधूनां
vinasaya cha dushkrutam
Vinashaya cha duskritam.
dharma samstapanarthaya
Dharma samsthapanarthaya.
sambhavami yuge yuge.
युगे युगे
Please read the translation. Shilpa Mataji.
To deliver the pious and the annihilate the miscreants, as well as the re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
So, three reasons Krishna appears. First one is, he goes in the importance. The first one he comes is to deliver the devotees, the pious. And the next one is, he annihilate the miscreants. And the third one is, once these two happen, the third automatically happens, which is establish the principles of Dharma. And then he is saying that, okay, he goes further in terms of his form or his, we call birth, but yeah, we'll say that why the birth is Divya, birth of Divyam. Janma karma cha me Divyam evam yo veti tatvataha
Evam yo vedi tattva.
tyaktva deham punarjanma
Tattva deham punarjanma.
naiti mameti sorjana.
Naiti mameti so arjuna.
Anyone can read the translation.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
So Krishna is now giving the clue on how to get out of this material world and how to go back home, back to Godhead, the eternal abode. That is, that he is saying there is no punarjanma. Tyaktva means they will do that. How means we have to understand the janma karma chame divyam. If you see, we think that Krishna is born in the jail as an ordinary boy, but if you read the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will understand that once Krishna was born, he was born with the four-handed form as Lord Narayana. Then Vasudeva and Devaki, they ask, "Oh Krishna, like who are you? Like we thought you were going to a baby was going to be born, but Narayana, you himself were born. Like, can you please change yourself into a body?" So then he converts into a small baby, which he takes and leaves at Mother Yashoda. So what we can understand that is this body is not like an ordinary human body. That birth is divyam, means it is transcendental. If you see like any um, like in the old movies where somebody appears in the place like that, or now latest movies like Marvel or those things where they show a spaceship suddenly appearing in the movie. What they tell from the science standpoint is, oh, it is going faster than the speed of light. That's why you are not able to see that spaceship moving. It appears, it suddenly appeared there. So same concept, like the transcendental world and material world. Krishna wants can appear in any place in the transcendental or material world, which his own sweet will. So and suddenly he will appear and he can disappear, and he can appear in any form he wants. He can appear in the Narayana form. He can appear as a little Krishna, like that. It is just for the pleasure because Devaki and Vasudev, they have meditated. They did tapasya for many thousands of years, and they got a boon that they want the Supreme Lord. They said they want someone who is equal, similar to the Supreme Lord as their son. Then the Supreme Lord says, "There is no one equal to me. I myself will come as your son." So that's why he came. It's not, and then yeah, there is a very big story about how Krishna appears. But what we have to understand is, if we read Bhagavad Gita, get inspired, and if we read Srimad Bhagavatam and complete understanding of the different activities, the next one is karma. Any pastimes that transcendental pastimes that Krishna activities that Krishna does, like the Damodar Leela. I hope everyone participated in Damodar Puja this year, Kartik month, because if you look at this pastime where Mother Yashoda tries to bind Krishna, it is so sweet actually, and you will get so much inspired. And if you do all those activities, there is no reason we will not get attracted towards Krishna. And if you want to get attracted towards the Lord, just read the pastimes of baby Krishna, little Krishna. Then, then you will automatically get attracted, and the kids will also get attracted. There is a book called Krishna book. If you want to order that, you can order that also. But and it can be read like a novel, like a story, to the kids or even yourself to get inspired. So why I'm saying this, if you and there is no difference between his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, or his the devotees that come along with him. Everything is absolute. In the absolute world, 1 plus 1 equal to 1, 1 minus 1 equal to 1, anything is 1 only. So Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate means if something comes from the transcendental world, it is absolute. There is no difference. And that's why whether it is his form or it his own energy that is coming from the transcendental world, there is absolutely no difference. And what Krishna is saying is, "Oh Arjuna, I'm just going to reciprocate however you want. I told you all this information," but essentially Krishna says, "Ye yatamam prapadyante,
Ye yata prapadyante
tam stataiva bhajamyaham,
तां तथैव भजाम्यहम्
mama vartmanu vartante,
Mama
मम
Vartman
वर्तते
Vartante
manushya partha sarvasaha."
Manushya
मनुष्याः
Partha
पार्थ
Sarvasaha.
सर्वथा
Anyone wants to read the translation?
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of
Pruta. So, yeah. So what we can understand from this is basically there is no Krishna is not like the Supreme Lord is not unmerciful. He will not say, "Oh, this is the only path. If you follow this, you will get liberation. If others, I will punish you." No, like some religions might be scaring us like that, but the Supreme Lord is merciful. He is saying that if you surrender to me 50%, yes, I will reciprocate in the same way. If you still have some other attachments towards family, kids, and everything, that's fine. But if you want to surrender to me 100%, and I will completely give myself to you. If you see the pastime of Sudama, he just he's so much surrendered to Krishna, and as soon as he enters the kingdom of Dwarka, Krishna comes running towards the door, receives him, and puts him on the throne, and he starts serving him. So that what we can understand, if someone completely dedicates their life to Krishna, Krishna wants to serve them, reciprocate them by serving them uh, uh, by doing them. But since we are not there yet, we have to go through the other things, our attachments, and it takes a few lifetimes for us to reach that stage. But the ultimate goal is to reach that level of complete surrender. So the life lessons we can take from this is Krishna gives such detailed explanation of the transcendental knowledge and the importance and the results of acquiring such knowledge. We should, from our standpoint, we should put a little effort to understand that knowledge. Material knowledge can save us in this life. Yes, we can become a great doctor, an engineer, a scientist, and we can have a nice house, nice car, nice family, nice kids, all affluent. But that moment that life is over, we have to start again from ABCD, coming out of the womb. Who wants to read from kindergarten again? Here, can raise their hands. We know how painful it is preparing for those homework assignments. Yeah, we have to, unfortunately, if we don't take towards the transcendental knowledge, this material knowledge will only save us in this life, but only transcendental knowledge can save us from life after life. And Krishna goes on to explain more about the transcendental knowledge. We have a few more minutes, so we'll continue. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam
Chaturvarnyam
Maya
guna karma vibhagashaha
Gunakarma
tasya kartaram apimam
Tasya
Abhimam
vidya kartaram avyayam.
Vidyakarta
Can someone read the translation?
According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable.
Jai, thank you, Mataji. So Krishna is saying, after surrender, as much as you surrender, I reciprocate. And then some verses we skipped in between, but he says that some people doesn't want to surrender onto the Supreme Lord himself, and they surrender onto the demigods, devatas, and they get whatever desires they want through their through the demigods. But essentially, it is me granting everything. And also, just like we in a society, like we have doctors, engineers, like farmers, janitors, everyone. And does why do we need all those things? Why can't a police officer go and do surgery?
because he doesn't have the knowledge to do it.
Exactly. So they don't have the knowledge to do that. And similarly, a doctor cannot go and um, fight on behalf of a person in the court, right? So they have been getting trained in that knowledge from childhood, and then based on their skill set, if somebody is heavily nicely built, they can become an army officer or a soldier. If somebody is very weak, even though they might not be able to succeed in that role. And can a janitor's son become a doctor?
Yes?
Yes.
Can a doctor's son automatically become a doctor?
No.
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 Yeah. So what we have in the current society is the actual varnas that Krishna created. Krishna says that for a functioning of the society in this material world, we need 4 orders of the society, which is called Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Brahmana means the educated class. Kshatriya means the kingly class or the soldiers. Vaishya means the merchants or the farmers, and Shudra means someone who can help the other 3 classes. And he's saying that vibhaga means this division is based on guna and karma. It is not based on janma. But unfortunately, the society, the advent of British, they have introduced the concept of caste. But that caste that we have in the current society is not the varna that Krishna is describing. Just like a doctor's son automatically doesn't become a doctor, they still have to learn and qualify and write exams and get certified. A Brahmana's son doesn't automatically become a Brahmana. A Kshatriya's son doesn't automatically become a Kshatriya. In the olden days, before, like when the Vedic scriptures are strictly followed, every village used to have a Gurukul, and a learned sage in the Vedic scriptures used to run that. All the kids in this village used to go and collectively read together. There is no different distinction or discrimination. All of them used to sit and learn based on their guna, their qualities that they were born into, and the activities that they want to do. The Gurukul, the sage would, or the learned person would say, okay, you now become a Brahmana, you become a Vaishya, you become a Shudra. And of course, a doctor's son has more opportunity to become a doctor because their parents are doctors and they will train them well. So yes, a Brahmanic son automatically has more ability to become a Brahmana. That doesn't mean that others are not supposed to become Brahmanas. That is the distinction we have to clearly understand. The current people who are fighting in Indian society, like they are fighting based on the wrong principle of the wrong principle, because that principle was based on what Britishers misunderstood about the thing, and it is all their thing. But in the real, if we follow the real Vedas, there will not be any fighting between castes in India, because the Varnas is different, concept caste is different, and there are some more topics that Krishna discusses. But in this all this knowledge, Krishna is saying, if you want to acquire knowledge, what you have to do is tad vidhi pranipatena
Tat vidhi pranipatena
pariprashnena sevaya
pariprashnena sevaya
upadekshyanti te gnanam
upadechanati te jnanam
gnaninas tattva darshinaha.
naninas tattva darshana.
So all the transcendental knowledge that Krishna is saying, he's telling how to acquire for someone. Can someone read?
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
Jai. So what Krishna is saying is, if you want this transcendental knowledge, you have to approach a spiritual master. And what is the way of acquiring knowledge? We have to acquire that knowledge submissively, and we have to render service to them. Then the self-realized soul, being happy with with the way we are approaching them and how inquisitive we are, then they will reveal that knowledge to them because they themselves have seen the truth. So we have to approach someone who is themselves have understood the absolute truth, coming in the Guru Parampara, which is the disciplic succession, and we have to same thing. If you see most of the Bhagavad Gita, the importance of humility is mentioned. We can't go and say that I know this, you tell me what you know. No, the way of acquiring knowledge is you go and approach a person who is giving the knowledge, and if you have questions, we have to submit them nicely and say, but my understanding is this, so your understanding is, then they will explain the real understanding. But if we go in a fighting mood, then that it doesn't help anyone. And the word meaning for guru is, gu means ignorance, ru means the person who destroys. So guru means a person who destroys that ignorance. And that's why we are all born into ignorance. In this Maya, this material world is illusion, and it is covering us with ignorance. If we want to remove that, we need a guru. And I think this is the last verse. Yad gnatva na punarmoham
Yajnata punarmoham
evam yasyasi pandava
evam yasyasi pandava
yena bhutanyasheshani
yena bhutana sheshani
drakshyasya to mayi
drakshyasatma atomai.
atmanyato mayi. Okay.
Atmanya.
Kiran Kumar Prabhu, you want to read? If not, yeah, someone can read.
Having
Having
obtained,
obtained
go ahead. Go.
Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, they are mine.
Jai, thank you, Mataji. So if you want see this, once our illusion is gone, we will not fall down. We have to understand this very, very clearly. We can say that, okay, I'm putting a lot of effort, I get moksha. What if I fall down back? No, the moment our ignorance is gone, we will again not fall back into the material world. An example that was given is we might have all got electric shock when we were young. Somehow or other, we put our finger into the socket and we got shocked. Do we put our finger again there?
No.
No.
Not at all, right? Same thing. For whatever reason we fall into this material world, there could be so many reasons. Some are envious of Krishna. Why Krishna is the only person in the material, in the spiritual world, that he is the supreme Lord. Why I cannot be God myself? Then, yeah, we can be all. If you see in this material world, everyone is trying to be Lord of themselves. Everyone is trying to lord it over some other person, and that is the nature of the material world. Here, all the people who are living entities who want to lord it over will come here. But once we understand that this is all a futile thing and it is the real bliss comes when we associate with the Supreme Father in different Krishna, then we go back home. We never even think of coming back again, because we know that how difficult this life in the material world is, how miserable, that that doesn't happen. And their only focus is that they will be always in the loving service of the Supreme Lord. And that's why Krishna is then saying that, if someone can read this translation of verse 4.42.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
Therefore,
Prabhu.
the doubts, therefore, Bhagavad Gita 4.42. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight.
So now Krishna is concluding the chapter saying that, oh Arjuna, you have gotten so many doubts and confusions about your duty and all. You can only, we can become intelligence using knowledge, right? Same thing. Use this transcendental knowledge and slash off all the doubts that you have with this weapon. And armed with yoga, he introduced the concept of yoga also, right? Yoga, the different yoga processes, and yoga is any connection. Yoga means anything that we do in relation to the Supreme Lord is called yoga. So if you follow my instructions, it is yoga. Then stand up and fight. That is Krishna is saying. And in East Bengal, there was a Brahmana by name Tapan Mishra, and he was confused about so many Vedic literatures, which one to read and what is the conclusion of this and how to achieve liberation. And he approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Lord Krishna in Kali Yuga, who inaugurated this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna movement. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that in Kali Yuga, you don't have to get too much attached to the books also. If you just simply chant, all the things will reveal to you automatically. And the one verse I was mentioning before, Harar Nama, Harar Nama, Harar Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gataranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy names, chanting the holy names, chanting the holy names. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. It is some acharyas say that why it is saying no other way means Karma Yoga is not the way, but Jnana Yoga Karma marg is not the way, Gnana marg is not the way, or even the Ashtanga yoga is not the way. For this Kali Yuga, Bhakti yoga is the only means of deliverance. And that's why in Bhakti yoga, if you are doing this, reading the Bhagavad Gita book or the Srimad Bhagavatam automatically happen. So that's why we have to take benefit from these scriptures and transform our life. And I hope everyone ordered the Gita kit. Any questions before we wrap today's session?
Uh, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
One question I have is in that Chaturvanyam Maya system, you explained in that second line, actually, Krishna says, Tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram, he says, right? Although I am the doer, know me as the non-doer. How do we understand this part of the loka?
Yeah, so same thing he mentioned, right? Yadyat acharati shreshtas. So he created the system. You know that I am the non-doer being unchangeable. Means here vidya akartaram avyaya means the translation is, although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am the non-doer. And similarly, the same thing applies to material world also. It is mentioned that nothing in this material world, like even a blade of grass, doesn't move without the supervision of the Supreme Lord. And later also he will say in the verses, although I am in this material world, the material doesn't touch me. So that is a concept that we can that will be appear like a twisting our mind. But what we can understand is this material world is Krishna's energy, and it acts as per his direction. But at the same time, it doesn't come under the. It cannot bring Krishna under its influence. So the example that was given is clouds. Can a cloud cover the entire sky? They'll no, right? Because they'll be partially. So a cloud can a cloud is like the Maya, and it is the Lord's energy itself. But the cloud cannot cover the entire supreme personality of Godhead. It doesn't even cover. Only the living entities can come under the influence, but it cannot touch or it cannot do. So that the Supreme Lord is aloof from the material energy. But the material energy is working under his supervision and is created by him only. So that's the explanation.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Okay, if no questions, we'll say Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once, 3 times, and we'll close today's session. We'll say all together.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
भगवान श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा की जय, श्रीमद्
जय।
भगवद गीता की
जय।
जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू कृष्ण, हरे कृष्ण, वैष्णव डिवोटीज, हरे कृष्ण। Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.